clubpod.co, clubpod.co, clubpod.co.
Hi folks, another clubpod.co podcast. This is a very, very simple tip. I'm going to make this very short. Be very, very, very careful when you're using copyrighted material such as music. I was listening to a woman who was making a podcast, and she was downloading the music from YouTube and wondering why she was getting into trouble. And because she presumed because it was on YouTube, everyone could download it, use it, and you just can't. It's something, unless you're 100% sure, don't use anything that's recorded that could be copyrighted. So if it's music, unless you've got permission or you've purchased the rights and whatnot, and be very careful, because sometimes people go on websites and you can download music and stuff in certain circumstances if it's non-commercial, but technically, if you put it on a podcast and you're planning making money from podcasting, you could end up being sued. And even just using clips from other podcasts or anything, be very careful. Personally, I wouldn't, unless you're 100% sure. You need to be 100% sure that you know what you're doing, because you're going to get into so much trouble, or you might just end up having to delete stuff. And it's why I'd never, at the moment, use any material from Clubhouse, because I had a warning pop up saying you're going to lose your account and all sorts. Now, don't be in the belief that just sticking a little red symbol on saying we're recording this, or telling everybody we're recording this, is going to solve your problems. Because in theory, if you look at the terms and conditions, unless you've changed them, it says you need written permission from the owners or something. Now, even just people saying verbally we agree, they could have a legal case to say, well, we agree, but we didn't fully understand the situation that you're going to use this as a recording or whatever. People could come back at you on this, because at the moment Clubhouse is a closed app. By this, it's not like Twitter doing their own version, others may be as well, that we know they are. Now, it might be different for Twitter, because if you record off that, it's an open app. By that I mean anybody in theory can go on and in theory could listen. So there might be it might be under the case that it's presumed that if you say anything, it's out there, if you see what I mean. As in, if you post a picture and you haven't got your account sort of in private, in theory it's open, if you see what I mean. Now, I would personally be very careful recording anything off Clubhouse, because it might be alright if it's just two of you, or two or three of your friends, and it's in a private room or something, and you've all agreed and that's the setup. But when it's people you don't know, in my experience, though, people can change their minds. It's just not worth it at the moment. Unless you're 100% sure, be very careful recording Clubhouse things. I don't care if other people do, all the big... I've seen clubs with huge numbers and the moderator saying, yeah, it's fine, record. Are they legally covering your back? Because if something goes wrong, are they going to pay your legal fees? If they are, fine. Because, I've seen people say this, fine to record. Now, personally, I'm thinking, you could end up being sued for saying that, because if somebody else gets a lot of problems, even if they just lose a Clubhouse account because they recorded something on your say-so, I'm wondering if you're going to be responsible for that. Be very, very careful what you record and what you use. As I say, if you record it yourself, if it's your own show, your own voice, you're laughing. It's when you start using other people's music, and it doesn't matter if it's a split second or anything, People are funny with companies. They go money, money, money. Especially when companies now, well, you've got to think about it. A lot of people were making a fortune from in the music industry, and suddenly that income's drying up. So now a lot of them, and I've seen this before, there's people out there who are now to get money back. They're suing people for as much money as they can. That's how they're making money in some ways for copyright. And there's some very clever software out there that'll scan the internet and they will find even a split second of their song, and then it's like, oh, thanks very much, £100,000 please for using our material. So be very, very careful what you do. And even the sites where you can go on and you can download music and pay a fee, even there, read the terms and conditions over and over. I don't personally use them because I'm still nervous in case I'm using it not correctly, and I don't want to have people suing me later. It's just not worth the hassle. Anyway, I hope this might save you some money or some grief. But be very careful, because I see a lot of podcasts are thinking, I actually don't understand them. They're thinking that you can just use music nilly-willy because radio shows do. It's you see, in the UK, I think you have to, if you're a radio show, you have to pay a license fee to play music. Now, I don't know, you see, and this gets complicated because in the world of, in the past, that'd have just been locally, or in the UK, your radio station. Now, the trouble is now, that radio station's going worldwide, so even their license might be invalid because, you know, each country might have a different system. And if you're broadcasting in other countries, it gets complicated. It's just something I would avoid unless you've had legal advice. Personally, I'd go out and get legal advice on this. Don't trust people who just think they know it, because this is the one area it gets expensive. Copyright is an expensive problem if you get into trouble. Just because other people get away with it doesn't mean you will. And I've seen that people say, oh, well, so-and-so's got away with it, so I will. And you get into trouble, and you know, if it's not like it's £2 or £3. Oops, the cat's just jumped over. It's an expensive process. All right, hope this helps. If it doesn't, sorry. Clubpod.co, clubpod.co.
Clubpod.co, clubpod.co, clubpod.co.